Hi, I'm John Cranton with JimFeiss.com. Going to take a look at the 2014 NFC West. The 49ers have been to 3 consecutive NFC Championship games, while the young Seahawks are off a Super Bowl victory. For 2014, we're going to start with the division champion, San Francisco 49ers. Now, Vegas has them projected at 10.5 wins. Last 3 years, the 49ers 13-3, 11-4-1, and 12-4. Now, Jim Harbaugh brought that physical toughness to San Francisco. They've been to these 3 straight title games, playing great football overall, 1 Super Bowl appearance. Last season, the offense averaged 25.4 points per game. That was 11th in the NFL, 24th in total yards. And that's because the offense is not balanced. It's 3rd in rushing with 137.6 yards per game, 30th in passing the football. You got running back Frank Gore. He had 1,128 yards, 4.1 yards per carry, anchoring the ground attack along with mobile quarterback Colin Kaepernick. He had 21 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. He also ran for 524 yards, 5.7 yards per carry, a versatile weapon. Now the 49ers are stockpiling running back depth with second-year running back Marcus Lattimore and rookie Carlos Hyde from Ohio State taken in the 2nd round. It's the best offensive line in the NFL with stalwarts Joe Staley and Anthony Davis. Now wide receiver Anquan Bolden, he came over from the champion Ravens last year and was great with 1,179 yards, along with super tight end Vernon Davis. He had 850 yards, 13 touchdowns. Wide receiver Michael Crabtree is healthy after getting 284 yards last year. 2 years ago, don't forget, he had 1,105 yards and 9 touchdowns. This team has incredible depth at the wide receiver spot. They got new wide receiver, 28-year-old Stevie Johnson, 597 yards with the Buffalo Bills, rookie Bruce Ellington, and Brandon Lloyd. Now the 49er defense, it's been the backbone for the last couple of years. 4th in the NFL against the run last year, 7th against the pass. Great linebacking core led by 29-year-old Patrick Willis and 26-year-old Navarro Bowman. Bowman led the team with 145 tackles, 5 sacks, but he's recovering from that awful playoff leg injury. He hopes to be back by September. He got linebacker Ahmad Brooks with his 8 sacks. Defensive tackle Justin Smith had 6.5 sacks. Now the 49ers secondary, they've had a lot of departures from last season, losing both starting cornerbacks. Second-year Pro Bowler Eric Reed is back at free safety next to free agent addition Antoine Bethea at strong safety. At cornerback, Trayvon Brock will be 26 when the season starts, and he's seen a lot of time. Now he steps in as the starter. Newcomer Chris Cook, rookie Jimmy Ward, the 30th overall pick in the draft, and Dante Jones are also aboard. Now the 49ers road schedule, they're going to be at Dallas, Denver, the Saints, the Giants, and at Seattle. Those are the biggest challenges in the season. Getting the bye in Week 8 is a bonus. This team is on an 8-3 run under the total into the new season. After going 11-6-2 against the spread last year, this team is 33-19-4 against the spread under Jim Harbaugh. All right, the 2014 Seattle Seahawks, Pete Carroll, he's in charge of a powerhouse team, one that is 25-9 straight up, 26-8 against the spread the last 2 years, along with that Super Bowl title. Now, Seattle's even more dominant at home during that time, 17-1 straight up, 12-6 against the spread. They were no fluke either, as last year Seattle outscored opponents by 186 points. That was tops in the NFC and second only to the Denver Broncos in the entire NFL. And you know how that meeting between those two turned out. Now, the offense of Seattle is predicated on a power running game, 26th in passing, 4th in rushing with 136.8 yards rushing per game. 25-year-old quarterback Russell Wilson had 26 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, threw for 3,357 yards, plus he ran for 539. That was second on the team. They got 28-year-old running back Marshawn Lynch and his 1,257 yards, 4.2 yards per carry. He's quite a workhorse in this backfield. Now, the passing game has good targets in wide receiver Sidney Rice, an injury-plagued campaign, 231 yards, losing Golden Tate, but they hope to get a full year out of speedy wide receiver Percy Harvin, who dazzled in the Super Bowl. A rookie wide receiver Paul Richardson is aboard. He's a second-round pick from Colorado. It's the defense for Coach Pete Carroll that is the backbone, 7th against the run, tops against the pass, anchored by Michael Bennett and has 11 sacks. Cliff Averill had 8 sacks, and linebacker Bobby Wagner had 5.5 sacks. Plus, they add defensive tackle Kevin Williams from the Vikings. Now, the Seattle secondary is a dominating unit with safety Earl Thomas and physical cornerback Richard Sherman. He had 8 picks in each of the last 2 years. The offensive line for Seattle, they dealt with major injuries and depth problems in mid-season as quarterback Wilson was sacked 44 times, so they add some depth with second-round offensive tackle Justin Britt out of Missouri. Only quarterback Ryan Tannehill with 58 and Joe Flacco with 48 were sacked more times last season. Now, since 2010, this organization has made over 1,100 roster moves. That's most in the NFL, so it's clear they have great management in place. Seattle was 9-1 straight up, 6-4 against the spread at home last year, counting the playoffs, 6-2 straight up and against the spread on the road. Seahawks also carry an 8-2 run under the total into the new season with that great defense and run-oriented offense. Now, the schedule for Seattle, a little more difficult than last year. They're going to open with the Packers, and then they'll be at the Chargers. They're going to host Denver, get the bye in week 4, which is not a plus, and they get some long road games during the season. Trips to Washington, St. Louis, Carolina, Kansas City, and Philadelphia. It's going to make it a challenging campaign as everyone will be looking to knock off the defending champs. All right, in third place in the rugged NFC West, going to take a look at the Arizona Cardinals. Las Vegas has them projected at 7.5 wins. This team went from 5-11 to 10-6. 10-5-1 against the spread last year. Arizona overachieved under Bruce Arians. In fact, at home they were 6-2 straight up, 5-3 against the spread. On the road, not too bad either, 4-4 straight up, 5-2-1 against the spread. Now, the Arizona offense improved last year by huge leaps. 13th in the NFL in passing with 250 yards per game, 23rd in rushing, 12th in the NFL in total yards. That was thanks to the addition of 34-year-old quarterback Carson Palmer. Gave them some semblance of a passing game. Didn't have great overall numbers, 24 touchdowns, 22 interceptions, but he had 4,274 yards, 63.3 completion percentage. Now, if you're not that impressed with their ground game, they were dead last in rushing in the NFL 2 years ago. This running back, Rashad Mendenhall, he retired, so that's going to mean more carries for young Andre Ellinton. He had 652 yards last year, but 5.5 yards per carry. They took guard Jonathan Cooper from North Carolina with the 7th overall pick in 2013. And for this season, they add towering left tackle Jared Veldheer from the Oakland Raiders. Great targets on this Arizona team with wide receiver Larry Fitzgerald, 954 yards, 10 touchdowns, and third-year pro Michael Floyd actually had just over 1,000 yards. Now, the Cardinals signed former Vikings tight end John Carson to a 2-year deal. Carson caught 32 passes for 344 yards and a TD last year. Coach Bruce Arians has long desired a speedy wide receiver, and he picked one up with Ted Ginn, a 7-year veteran. Ginn played for the Panthers last season, caught 36 passes, 5 TDs. He's also going to return kicks. Now, defensive coordinator Todd Bowles, he brought in a 3-4 base last year, essentially trying to copy the Pittsburgh Steelers where these guys came from, and they made huge strides. 14th defensively against the pass, number 1 against the run in the NFL, allowing just 84.4 yards per game. To put that in perspective, 2 years ago, Arizona ranked 28th against the run, gave up 137 yards per game. Defensive end Darnell Dockett had 4.5 sacks, and Calais Campbell, he was a big part of the new scheme with 9 sacks. They were beneficiaries. They're back. You got linebacker Carlos Danbury. He's not going to be back. He accepted a 4-year, $24 million deal with the Cleveland Browns. That's going to hurt. Not sure how long defensive end John Abraham can keep going, but he's a 15-year veteran, and last year had 11.5 sacks for this team. Now, the secondary is also pretty good with cornerback Patrick Peterson and Antonio Cromartie, a cornerback. He was signed to a 1-year deal. He started all 16 games for the New York Jets last season, despite battling a hip problem, and he had 3 picks. Now, the Cardinals traded down in the first round to select Washington safety Deon Buchanan. The schedule for Arizona, it's not really a very kind schedule. In addition to 2 games against Seattle and San Francisco, they're at Denver. They have to play the Giants, at Dallas, at Atlanta. Home games against the Chiefs, Chargers, Lions are no gimmies either. St. Louis Rams, Vegas has them projected at 7.5 wins. St. Louis has been rebuilding under Jeff Fisher. He's been bringing in more speed, youth, and depth. So the question is, when are they going to take that next step? Well, it's certainly tough to take a step in the NFC West, and they're off a 7-9 straight-up ATS campaign. They're actually a very good team at home, 5-3, but now they got to learn to win on the road, which is common with young teams. They were 2-6 on the road last year. St. Louis offense was struggling, 19th in rushing, 27th in passing. It's a conservative West Coast philosophy under Fisher and offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer. Ground game could be improved with the number 2 pick in the draft, offensive tackle Greg Robinson from Auburn. Thank you, Robert Griffin II. Speaking of Auburn, they also add Auburn running back Trey Mason along with running back Zach Stacy, who had 973 yards last year, but just 3.9 yards per carry. Now the Rams signed former Tampa Bay Buccaneers Pro Bowl guard Devin Joseph, and this team was 30th in the NFL in total yards on offense, just 21st in scoring with 21.8 points per game. They like to keep quarterback Sam Bradford healthy. Last year, he had 14 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, but he is off knee surgery. And their backups are not very impressive. Quarterbacks Austin Davis, Garrett Gilbert, and Sean Hill. Now, the last year's Rams team, their pass catches were held to just 41 receptions of 20-plus yards last season after squeezing out just 43 with a healthy Bradford back in 2012. Tight end Jared Cook had 671 yards. He led the team, and they didn't get a lot from speedy wide receiver Tavon Austin, just 418 yards. So the Rams took a shot signing free agent wide receiver Kenny Britt, talented but another injury-prone player. Now the Rams defense, they rank 9th against the run, 19th against the pass, but there are big changes for this season. Rams defense is going to be more of an attacking, aggressive unit under new coordinator Greg Williams. They do have some emerging young pieces with linebacker James Laurinaitis, defensive end Chris Long, Robert Quinn, nose tackle Michael Brockers. He was taken from LSU with the number 14th overall pick 2 years ago. Plus Georgia linebacker Alex Ogletree was taken in the first round last year, the 30th overall pick. Rookie defensive tackle Aaron Donald comes in. He's the number 13th overall pick from Pitt. Certainly adds more depth and talent up front. A lot of pieces here, but now they have to produce. The schedule for the Rams in 2014, September is going to be easy. Vikings, Bucs, and Cowboys, so they could actually be 3-0 heading into the bye. But boy, after that bye, they're going to play 4 of 6 games on the road, including the Eagles, Chiefs, 49ers, and Cardinals. The St. Louis Rams are actually 18-14 against the spread under Jeff Fisher. They're also on a 5-0 run under the total. And make sure you subscribe to Jim Feist's YouTube page. It's called Sports Betting. How do you do it? Just click on the subscription link right there. You'll get daily updates on team previews, free picks. You get ProLine, all direct from Las Vegas, and it's free. Also, make sure you check out JimFeist.com for daily specials, top plays, articles, stats, videos. Also, you can get free picks on a toll-free recorded message each day just by dialing 1-888-294-1970, or you can get those free plays sent right to your cell phone by texting WINNER to 313131.